everyone, welcome back to 31 Days of Yoga for Mental Health. I'm Daria if you're new, and today's practice is really fun. It's called Curiosity. This is day 16, by the way. And this practice is all about just exploring what's going on inside of your body, moving a little bit more slow motion to really take our time feeling into each piece of opening. It's nice and juicy, nice and comforting. All you'll need today is yourself and a space to move. If you know that you like to have yoga blocks nearby just in case you need them, go ahead and grab them or something like it. And when you're ready, let's get started. We'll begin our practice today in child's pose. Come to the back of your mat and bring your toes to touch. Option either to spread your knees nice and wide or maybe keep them closer together. Totally up to you, whatever feels the best. And then begin to walk your fingertips all the way forward and let your head relax and rest down to your mat. Allow your body just to sink right away into your space, like you're melting right into the earth. Start to deepen your breath. Exhale on a sigh to clear away any residue from your day so far and to allow you to arrive and sink a little more. Inhale and fill up all the way to the top of your lungs. Exhale, release, sigh it out. Continue deepening your breath. Imagine filling up three-dimensionally with air from the bottom to the top and from the back to the front of your torso. So you're expanding evenly in all directions. And as the breath continues to deepen, allow it to travel more deeply into your body as well. So it can touch each and every fiber of the full body netting. Begin to notice what's going on today. Just check in with yourself. Ask yourself, body and mind, how you're doing. Notice any communication, any signals coming from body or mind in the form of tension or holding. And notice with curiosity, not from a place of fear or a place of trying to change right away, but just getting curious so that you can dive more deeply into those sensations, those holding patterns, and those points of tension. See if any of the spaces that you notice tensing up are spaces where you've noticed tension before. Maybe some of these spaces are habitually tight or tense, and maybe today there's something new. A place in your body where you haven't necessarily been digging into in the last few days, but is expressing today. And send breath to each space, one at a time. Imagine that your breath can just dissolve the tension slowly away, one little layer at a time. Slowly begin to make your way up to tabletop. Press more weight into your fingertips and your palms. Bring your hips to hover over your knees. Nice and easy right here. And then really ground down into the palms. Let the surface area of the palms expand as they spread wider, and press down through each fingertip. And we'll begin with some neck rolls. Lower your head toward your chest, and then slowly roll over so the right ear comes to the right shoulder, all the way up and around, over to the left, and then let it drape back forward. Start this really easy, really gently. And then slowly see if maybe the torso and the hips begin to get involved in this rolling circular motion. It's like a ripple effect from the movement in the head and the neck that starts to wave all the way through the full body until finally you're making bigger circles and the movement expands. And then come back to a neutral spine, pause in the middle, and take your neck circles, your head circles, the other direction. So the chin lowers down toward the chest and then revolves around to the left, all the way up and back to the right. Starting slowly and isolating just the space of the head and the neck. And then slowly incorporating, integrating all the pieces together so that the rest of the body gets involved. And maybe as the head goes back, there's a lift of the tailbone, a spread of the sit bones wider. As you make your way around to the side, it's like the right palm and the right knee are tractioning together, compressing through the side body. And as you drop your head, your palms press into the earth so you can round your spine up toward the sky. Take one more big revolution in this direction. Make your way back to a neutral spine, neutral tabletop. Ground down into your palms, tuck your toes behind you, and slowly begin to glide your hips back to an active child's pose. So the hips are moving back toward the heels, but the heart is resisting forward as the palms press down and forward. And then when you get to the bottom, round and curl, pull your pubic bone up to your sternum. So the whole front body pulls in and up. Press into your palms to dome through your shoulder blades and take your gaze right to your low belly. Tuck your toes again behind you. Press into your palms. Pick up your knees. Keep a micro bend in your knees as you take the very slowest transition you can imagine. From hands and knees all the way up and back to downward facing dog. Get curious about the transition and feel into each little step along the way, all the way up and back. How much can you press down and forward through the palms? How much can you hug your forearms together and spread your sit bones wide all the way back behind you? Inhale, rise up onto the balls of both feet and slowly wave forward to high plank. Pull your core in and up the whole way there. Press down firmly through all 10 fingers. Really involve them in this journey, in this process. Imagine that your spine is like a vacuum pulling up your whole front body. Good. And lower down, knees. Draw your elbows into your rib cage and lower chest to the mat. Keep your butt high, lower chin. Slide it through like a reptile. Ground the tops of your feet down and inhale to rise for baby cobra. Little to no weight in your palms. Press into your toenails to lift your heart up and away. Just nice and easy, nice and gentle. Exhale, lower it back down. Heart melts towards your mat. Tuck your toes behind you, press into your palms, come to hands and knees, and then glide your hips super slowly back to an active child's pose, reaching forward through your heart all the time. Draw your low belly in and up, round and curl, press into your palms for cat pose. And then pick up your knees, press the palms down and forward, and lift your tailbone all the way up and back, downward facing dog, waving through the spine. Inhale up onto toes, roll it forward to high plank, pull your core in and up, press into what's connected to the mat to let you feel floatier and lighter. And then lower down knees, elbows come in, lower chest, lower chin, all the way through. Inhale, again, just peel your heart slowly up and away from the mat like peeling fruit. One little piece at a time comes away. And then lower it back down. Tuck the toes, ground the palms one more time through this nice and slow, comforting sequence. Drop your hips back towards your heels. Let them really sink as the heart pulls forward. Elongate your whole spine. Maybe the hips melt back further than they have yet. And then round and curl, pull it all in and up for cat. Tuck the toes, ground the palms, and lift your tailbone and your sit bones all the way up and back. Keep a micro bend in your knees the whole way there. Let your neck and the back of your head relax as you reach the peak of your downward facing dog. Inhale up onto the balls of your feet and then wave it forward to high plank. Really traction your palms and your feet toward each other. And then lower down knees, elbows into rib cage, lower your chest, lower your chin, glide through. Step your fingertips maybe out to the wide edges of your mat. Press tops of feet down and inhale to pick up your heart for cobra. Rise it all the way up maybe, or stay with where you are. And explore each piece of this lift. So it's not just from down to up right away, but it's a progression. It's a movement there. And maybe slowly the gaze flickers up just a little bit. Pump the back of your heart more forward by drawing the tips of your shoulder blades together. And then slowly as you came up, roll all the way back down until finally your heart melts into your mat. Plant your palms down under your shoulders, tuck your toes, come through, hands and knees tabletop, and then just lift it all the way up and back to downward facing dog. Feel your palms and the soles of your feet like root systems here. Again, emphasize the press into all 10 of your fingers. Try to keep your index mound connected to the mat on both hands. And now lift and spread all 10 of your toes and then press them back down into your mat and see if you can ground as much through the toes as you do through the fingers. Bring your lowest set of ribs together and down to really lift your tailbone up and back just a bit more. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, slowly, 1 foot, 1 step at a time. Walk your way all the way up to a ragdoll fold. Let your toes be hips distance apart. Bend your knees super generously and then fold from the hip joint all the way forward. Explore what feels best in the hands. Maybe you grab for opposite elbows, or you can bring your hands to interlace behind your head, or maybe you just let them fall really heavy toward the ground. Explore and play to find what allows you to feel the most drapey here, the most like you can just totally surrender and drop. And as you breathe here, notice if there's any piece, any part of your body that doesn't want to go, that doesn't want to surrender or give in to gravity. See if you can send more awareness to that space and explore with curiosity always, never with judgment. Explore what might be going on with that space. How much can you drop the back of your neck and let your head go so you're not holding it up at all? There's no engagement. Feel into the soles of your feet and let them expand, just like we did with the palms. Let the surface area of the soles of your feet be as wide as possible, and let the tissues of the feet grow and melt into your mat, like they're melding together. Take one more breath here to drop and to feel. And then bring your fingertips down, maybe about a foot
in front of your feet. Really tent up tall into fingertips. And inhale, pull, traction your fingertips toward your toes to grow for a halfway lift. Send your butt back and your heart forward and get long from your crown of your head all the way to the very core of your pelvic floor. Exhale, fold it inward. Begin to transfer weight into your right foot so that the left foot can float up and away from the mat, and then glide your left toes all the way back to standing L. Elongate through the crown of your head, and again, traction fingertips back toward your right toes. Send your outer right hip a little back in space and really spread wide through all 10 of your toes on the right foot and the left. And then slowly bend into your right knee and step your left toes all the way down and back behind you for a low lunge, and lower down nice and easy and gently to the left knee. Keep your left toes tucked behind you. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Pull right foot toward left knee. And inhale to ripple your fingertips, both sets of fingertips, up overhead. And then exhale and melt your hips down and forward and open your heart. You can cactus through the arms, or really just let it happen. Take any little arm movement that feels good. And then inhale, pull everything to the central column. Rise, float your fingertips up overhead. The hips will shift a little back in space. And exhale, melt it slowly, slowly, slowly forward. Inhale, squeeze, lift, rise. Exhale, press forward and down through your right heel and your right big toe to stay active and charged, and just open the chest, open the heart. Let it feel really good. Ground your fingertips down to your mat. Take them a little in front, a little forward of the right foot. Inhale, traction fingertips toward right toes. Lift your heart. Exhale, glide your hips back for half splits. Ardha Hanumanasana. Flex your right toes up towards your face and take it really slow, so the right leg doesn't need to come to straight now or ever. Send fingertips down and forward as you curl in, forehead toward right knee. Good. Bend back into the right foot, the right leg. Shift your hips a little forward. Slide fingertips back. Open the heart. And then exhale, melt backward, half splits. Right toes flex up and away from your mat. Send your right outer hip back in space and fold. Inhale, glide it forward one more time. Fingertips traction back so that you can elevate and lift your heart and grow the spine. And then exhale, fingertips press forward as you glide it back and fold. And stay in your fold for a few breaths. You can come off of the tented fingertips to give your hands and your fingers a little moment to breathe and to relax. And melt a little more into the sensation that you're experiencing along the back line of the right leg. It's like with each breath, your body is warming. Like when you get into a pool that's a little chilly at first, and so you slowly keep walking in and more pieces go into the water. And then eventually you are acclimated. And everything gets warmer and more comfortable in that new environment. And it's the same with stretching and staying and experiencing in these yoga poses, just these shapes we're making with our bodies. Take one more breath right here. And bend back into the right knee. Slide your hips forward, tuck your left toes behind you, pick up your left knee, and now charge your right foot down and forward while you also squeeze your inner thighs together. Pull right foot toward a left foot and reach your fingertips all the way up overhead for high lunge. Keep the left heel hovering, elevated over right ball mound or left ball mound of your foot so that you can stay nice and activated and charged into the left leg. Grow your spine a little more, and then exhale, open it up for a twist. Send your left fingertips forward and your right fingertips back. Really pull from your very low belly up to your sternum, cinch your waist, and then maybe you can revolve your left rib cage toward your right rib cage as the right outer hip moves back in space. Again, inhale to pull and squeeze and lift everything in and up a little more, and then exhale, revolve, and maybe take your gaze back over right fingertips. Good. Inhale, rise all the way up to warrior two. Revolve open to the wide edge of your mat. Spin the outer edge of your left foot down and ground there. Really allow yourself to experience this posture with curiosity, a place where you've almost certainly been before in your yoga practice, but let today's version be new. As you inhale, hug your inner thighs together so much that the right knee begins to sort of straighten. Maybe adjust the width of your stance, just slightly crawl your left toes in a little bit, and then tip your hips, shift them back in space. And let this happen from how much you're hugging your inner thighs together and charging down and forward through the right big toe mound. Begin to shift your torso forward toward right fingertips, and then let them fall all the way down to your mat, either to the outside of your right foot or the inside. Option always for a block under fingertips to allow you to connect more down. And now begin to twist. Begin to keep a little buoyancy, a micro bend in the right elbow as you pull your whole core in and up, pull everything to the midline so much, and then maybe revolve right ribs toward left and see if even your right eye can make its way up to the ceiling, getting really open into the left side body. And now one last little bit of movement. Maybe the left fingertips can reach all the way forward, like they're extending out from the crown of your head. Grow longer through the left side body, and then slowly revolve onto ball of left foot and bend back into the right knee, low lunge. Step your fingertips a little more forward and inhale, pull, tug your fingertips back towards your right toes. Grow your heart forward, and then exhale, pick up your hips, stay high onto the ball of your left foot, and squeeze your inner thighs together so much that the right leg moves towards straight, and maybe float right toes up and away from your mat, so just the heel is down, and then curl into yourself, fingertips press forward and down. Bend back into the right knee, glide your fingertips without moving them, but intend them backward. Open your heart for a low lunge. And then exhale, pick up your hips, come up onto ball of left foot. Right toes lift up and away from your mat, and send your fingertips down and forward. One more like that. Bend back into the right leg. Pull fingertips back toward each other. Open, 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 open. And then press down and forward. Pick up your hips, hug your inner thighs together. Pick up right toes and squeeze and round and fold. Send your right outer hip back. Good. Bend into your right knee. Press down through the heel and the big toe of the right foot so much that you can float your left leg up and back for standing L. Grow the spine, and then exhale, step your left foot out, hips distance away from the right, and fold. And breathe right here. Head is heavy. Arms do whatever they want to allow you to feel more relaxed. And just notice. Scan through points of tension you noticed earlier and see what's changed. See what else is still holding on. Just to notice, just to become more aware and more in touch with that piece of your body. Sometimes the spaces where we are holding tension, or the spaces that we feel like maybe we don't want to feel into are really the places that could use the most love. So see if you can challenge yourself to go there. Reground your fingertips about a foot in front of your feet and send weight into the left foot so the right leg can hover, and then float right toes all the way back for standing L. You might need to adjust where your fingertips are to feel more centered, but really press into every piece of what's connected from the left sole of the foot into your mat and grow long from crown of head to right toe tips. And slowly bend into the left knee and step your right foot all the way back behind you and lower down to your right knee, low lunge. And with the toes still tucked, left foot pulls toward right knee, inner thighs hug together and squeeze. And inhale to reach your fingertips all the way up overhead. And exhale, melt the hips forward and open your heart. Let the arms come out to cactus, or maybe they just float out nice and wide like a big bird. Inhale, pull and squeeze. And this should be difficult. This is challenging. If you're really activating and pulling it all together, you might even start to shake, and then exhale, melt and open and expand. Let the fingertips be drippy and floaty and light. Inhale, pull and squeeze it all together. Exhale, sink. Release fingertips down to your mat. And inhale, grow your heart forward. The back of your heart puffs front. Exhale, glide your hips slowly back. Flex left toes up and away from your mat. Pull your inner thighs together, and maybe the left leg comes a little more towards straight. It doesn't have to straighten. Inhale, bend back into the left leg. Open the heart, pull your fingertips towards your hips, toward the midline. And exhale, melt the hips back. Flex left toes up, send left outer hip a little back in space. And fold into yourself. Long, full exhalation. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, melt it back. Glide your hips so slowly, like you're moving through something thick, like molasses or honey. And then stay. You can relax down off the fingertips. Just give them a little break if you need to sort of make fists and then release. Unclench the hands a bit. It can get a lot when we're lifted up onto fingertips and sending so much energy down. So take what you need to allow yourself to fold in and get a little less charged, just for a few breaths right here. Let your breath be like a massage for your body, especially down the back of your left leg. Really breathe into and along the muscle. And then slowly melt forward, hips come forward, bending into the left knee. And tuck your toes behind you. Pick up right knee away from your mat. Hug left foot toward right foot, and then charge down and forward through the big toe mound of the left foot and reach fingertips all the way up overhead. Notice if you're holding any tension in the hands. See if you can relax so that the fingertips get nice and floaty. Grow your spine really tall, square your hips toward the front of your room, and then exhale, open up for a twist. And this results from how much you lift, from how much you zip up the front line of your body, all the way down from the low belly up to the sternum, or maybe even think of it going up to the collarbones. And then turn right ribs toward left ribs as the outer left hip moves more back in space. And maybe your legs are shaking from how much you're squeezing them together. Mine are. Sometimes these slower flows, they look simple, it looks easy, but there's so much little activation and subtle work going on. Maybe the gaze floats all the way over, left fingertips, one breath here. Good. Sweep your right arm up and around to open you up for warrior two. Left leg bends into the top of your mat. And let your hips sink and settle. Experience this posture today for you. Pull your shoulder blades together behind you to puff up through your heart. And then inhale, squeeze the inner thighs, the legs together so much that the left leg begins to come more towards straight. But it's like it's resisting the straightening because of how much you're pressing. Still down and forward and squeezing, and then shift the hips back. And as the hips continue to shift more back, send your left fingertips forward, and then slowly let the left fingertips fall either to the outside of the left foot or the inside as right fingertips reach up overhead. Really hug your inner thighs together and charge down and forward through the big toe mound of the left foot. And this will help you to stay nice and activated and charged and avoid locking out the left knee to protect the knee joint. And now maybe bend at the right elbow and imagine that there's a string attached from right fingertips to right ribs. Pull them up and then turn your elbow a little out, bringing your ribs to revolve, opening through the heart. Let left ribs revolve toward right ribs as the right fingertips flicker back up overhead. Again, ground, press down into every bit of connection, like your toes are digging into sand. And then reach right fingertips forward so they're extending out from the crown of your head. Relax your right shoulder down away from your ear and create more space between each rib. Really reach forward, staying down and active through the knife edge, the outer edge of the right foot, and let this reach forward, revolve you all the way back, forward, come up onto the ball of the right foot, bend back into the left knee, low lunge. Almost there, stay with it. Step both sets of fingertips a little forward in front of the left foot, and inhale. Traction, fingertips back towards your hips. Elevate through underneath the right thigh. So it's like there's balloons floating under your pelvis, picking you up as you send the back of your heart forward and reach. And then exhale, pick your hips up, lift them up and back, press into the ball of the right foot and send your fingertips forward and down. Pick up left toes away from your mat and fold. Inhale, bend back into the left knee. Glide the hips forward. Traction, fingertips back towards your hips. Open the heart and lift. And then exhale, glide it back for this little pyramid variation. Pick up your left toes away from your mat. Squeeze your inner thighs together and send your outer left hip back. One more like that. Bend back into the left knee. Slide your heart forward. Really get open as the fingertips traction back towards your hips. And then exhale, fold, press so firmly down and forward through the fingertips and curl in. Good. Bend back into the left leg and then press into the sole of the left foot to pick up right toe as standing L. And exhale, fold. Step your feet hips distance apart and let everything drop. You can relax your fingers, maybe make little fists, not too clenched, and then just let them unfurl. Lots of work, lots of activation into the fingers and the hands. So take what you need to be able to release and to drop and to let go. And now this is your space too to feel into all the effects of that movement and that breath and that slow motion activation. See how much you can drop so that you can absorb and soak it in like a sponge. It's not always comfortable or easy to go deeply, to dive deeply into spaces of our body that we're not used to feeling. But the more awareness we can build with every single piece, with every bit of unfolding and releasing of tension, the more connected we'll be to our own bodies, to the larger world around us, and the more we are able to experience fully life and living. Take 2 more breaths here. And let everything drop. Reground the palms if they aren't. Step your feet a little bit wider, turn your toes to face out, and then slowly, using the fingertips still grounded, sink your hips all the way down between your heels for like a Malasana frog pose, only this time curl. So let the palms be maybe grounded, or you can grab for opposite elbows if you feel like you've got your balance on your feet. Whatever you need to feel like you can curl the spine and round and really get into the whole back. And if your heels aren't coming all the way down, that's no problem, but you can always play with stepping your feet maybe a little wider or just not sinking your hips down quite so far. You can also slide something just thin underneath your heels to help them be a little closer to your mat, like little thin paperback books maybe or something like that. Bring your fingertips back behind you and let your butt sink down all the way to your mat. Send your toes, your feet down flat onto your mat in front of you. Reach your arms forward and slowly, slowly, slowly roll all the way down the length of your spine, one vertebra at a time. Try to keep big toes connected as you roll and feel into each piece of this roll down. Use your core. All the way there. Good. Bring your right knee into your chest. Give it a nice squeeze. And then take the sole of your right foot up to face the ceiling. And it doesn't need to be straight. The leg doesn't need to be all the way straight. Relax your toes. No need to point or flex. You can even shake out the leg just to sort of let it go. And then grab for what's accessible to you, maybe behind your right hamstring or the calf or the ankle, wherever you feel nice and easy. It shouldn't feel like a stretch. And then inhale, see if you can imagine that your leg is just growing longer, like it's extending out from where your toes are, and it's growing. And then exhale, super gently just pull the leg in closer to your chest. And with each full deep breath here, maybe your toes melt a little closer towards your face. No need to force, no need for the right leg to come back behind the head or anything like that. You don't even need to go to the deepest point. Just feel it as a sensation. And it doesn't need to be always the deepest version of the sensation. Let the breath wash along the back line of the right leg. Maybe as you inhale, it's like sweeping up from your glute all the way up to your toes, and as you exhale, it washes back down along that same line, allowing you to melt a little more. One more breath. And then release, and super slowly, like your right leg is made of lead, it's super heavy. Imagine that your right toes are expanding even beyond the boundary of your physical body all the way down as you lower. So slowly, stay with it. All the way down, stretching out. Nice. And now feel into any sensation you might be experiencing in the right leg, maybe like a flushing or tingling or cooling or warming, whatever it is, just feel it. And then bring the left knee in towards your chest, give it a hug. And send the sole of your left foot up to face the ceiling. Relax. Shake it out maybe, let the toes be light, no need to flex or point or engage. And then grab for what's accessible to you, and it might be different on this side. Take your time with it. Inhale, lengthen your leg. Even imagine that the hip socket is growing, the leg is growing out from the hip socket. And then exhale, melt a little closer. And as you breathe with attention, see if you can have patience with it. Wherever your body is, maybe you're feeling a little tighter than yesterday or a little looser or whatever it is, allow it to be. And stay for 2 more rounds of really full breath. Not shallow, just into the chest, but Fill up your whole body all the way to the tips of your toes as you inhale. And as you exhale, let it wash through every little piece, every little corner. Good. Release your grip. Stay with the toes floating, and then let the leg get so heavy that it slowly falls all the way down, extending, elongating as it goes, pulling out from your hip socket through the toes until it drops. And we rest. Shavasana. Let your toes turn to face out. Palms flip up, eyes are softly closed, and get out any wiggles, anything that you need to feel really comfortable so that you can just drop. And let your body just spill like a puddle into the earth that's slowly expanding and widening. And you can imagine like the pressure has been released and everything's just dissolving slowly back into the earth. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. See if you can let go of every bit of activation, engagement, pulling together, and let it all melt into the earth. Notice if there's any holding in your low belly, from the very core of your pelvic floor up to your belly button. See if you can soften there with the breath. Begin to deepen your breath. Imagine breath illuminating your whole body, even the darkest corners. And let all of the residual old holding patterns melt into the earth as fingertips and toes begin to wake back up. You can point your toes and make fists, and then let it all drop one more time. Reach all the way long and back behind you, extending fingertips and toe tips away from each other like you're being pulled in two directions. And then sweetly and gently and super lazily roll onto one side or the other for fetal pose. Let your head melt into your arm. And as you exhale, let anything you don't need to hold in your body anymore go. And press palms into your mat to slowly lift yourself up to a really nice, comfortable, supported, spacious, and wide seat. So your base is nice and solid. And then float your shoulders down away from your ears. Let go of any tension in that space. Let your jaw soften again. Draw your palms together to meet at your heart. And inhale to integrate all of the new space that you found in this practice. Exhale one more time to let go of any residue that's holding on, that's clinging. Let it dissolve. Lift your thumbs up to your third eye and gently bow forward. Namaste.
Thank you so much for sharing your practice and your space and your time with me today. It really means so much to be able to share this practice. So thank you. And also, congratulations on making it through a slow flow like this. It requires a lot of intention and focus and really subtle activation that is challenging. So congratulations. I hope you feel all of the new opening. I hope you're feeling good. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.